Good morning. Okay. I've been asked to let you know that November 14th is Consecration Sunday. And throughout the next 3 weeks, parishioners will speak briefly during worship service about stewardship. As we approach Consecration Sunday on November 14th, we hope you'll continue to join us for worship during the upcoming weeks, but especially on November 14th. Consecration Sunday is Stewardship Sunday, when we set apart our money, ourselves, and our whole lives to God's holy purposes. We'll go through this process together, asking ourselves, what percentage of my income is God calling me to give? There will be festive and safe gatherings after the 9:10, 11:15, and 6 o'clock services. We hope you'll join us. I wanted to share one of my big St. James moments with all of you today, which is that about 4 years ago, my husband, Bo, and I were peering towards the end of his 10+ years in medical school and training. It was time for us to think about what we were going to do next. And to be perfectly honest, when we married, I'd vaguely understood that there were loans from college, from medical school. And I understood, too, that Bo's position on it all was, there's not much I can do about it now, so let's think about that later. And it made sense to me at the time. But by 2017, later had become now, and both Bo and I found it really hard to talk about how we ought to handle it all. We had a 1.5-year-old, which added some pressure to the cooker. And I'm not sure what inspired me, but I asked Brenda for help and guidance, and within a day, she'd emailed me, not only with some bright words of encouragement, but also a telephone number to call, saying that someone was expecting for us to be in touch and that this person would help us talk about money and other hard things too. The conversations that followed laid a foundation for us, not only for how we could talk about money, but also in how we could talk about planning more concretely for our shared future and dreaming about what that could look like. And for us, that was a super hard thing. So we finally made plans. A few months later, something really unexpected happened, which is that Bo very suddenly lost his vision. One day, he was confidently driving a rental car, and the next, he couldn't see cars. It was really fast and really confusing. And once we got back to New York, and Bo quickly became the patient rather than the physician, the question became, what are we going to do now? And there was no part of our plan that wasn't going to have to change, and change really fast. But through it all, I felt oddly calm, and my calm was in part due to the strengthened relationship and ways of communicating that Bo and I had worked hard to build over the past year. And we were given the groundwork to do that through St. James. And even when things looked really dire, I knew that we had support. I knew that we wouldn't fall. We had each other, and we had our little girl. And perhaps most importantly, she would have both of us, because his eventual diagnosis wasn't life-ending, even though it was life-changing. So it was me reaching out to St. James for help in talking about money that brings me to talking about money today. It's a little on the nose, but I find that when we're talking about money, it's usually not really or just talking about money. We're talking about our priorities, and we're talking about our hopes for the future. And are we willing to talk about those things today, or if it's for another day, or in my case, another decade? And I'm committed to not feeling scared of thinking about talking about those things anymore. And I don't want to revert to my old way of thinking, which was, I can't commit to a plan now, but I'll definitely think about that when we achieve whatever. And that's definitely a thing I've done recently, but I know logically that things are always going to be changing. So I have some thoughtful work to do this stewardship season, and I hope that we might do it together.
Thank you so much, Sarah.